This is the FlatSix Modular Shroud of Turing. It's a 26 HP 1U Eurorack module inspired by the wildly popular Turing Machine from Thing Modular. Like the Turing Machine, it's a 16-bit shift register that allows you to generate sequences from random voltages and lock them in when you find something interesting. Or you can let them slowly evolve in a generative fashion, just using this knob over here. And also, like the Turing Machine, it has the ability to expand and contract the octave spread across the generated sequences. But the Shroud of Turing goes further, with a built-in keyboard that you can use to quantize voltages into notes in an additive way. Once you have a group of notes that you like, you can save that scale into one of 6 user slots in order to recall them again anytime you want on the fly. And that's not all. You can also manipulate a locked sequence to suit your performance in different ways. The Shroud of Turing has the built-in ability to reset, so you can get the start of the sequence to align with your song. And of course, it also has the ability to shift the first note of the sequence forward or backward, and even has a boot up mode that makes straightforward CD keyboard. But we'll get into that later in the video as I cover the latest firmware in this Nocturne Alchemy platform. What is the Nocturne Alchemy platform, you say? Well, it's the hardware platform that the Shroud of Turing runs on. And it's the same platform that the 7th Summoner, the Arp of Darkness, and the Sleight of Hand all run on. Same exact hardware, it's just firmware. So by buying any one of these, all the other firmwares are free. You basically get 4 modules in one. Alright, so with all that out of the way, let's take a deeper dive into how this module can help you harness the power of chaos to take your performance to the next level. So let's patch up. To begin using the Shroud of Turing, start by connecting a clock source, such as a clock, LFO, or gate, from another module into the clock input. I have my clock right here. Go ahead and do that. For a standard melodic patch, you should also mult this clock signal to the gate input of your envelope generator, or VCA, to ensure your notes are triggered in sync with the sequence. So in this case, what I've got is Pam's Pro Workout is my clock source. I've got that going into a mult. And then one output of the mult is going now into the clock input of my Shroud of Turing. And my oscillator is the Dust of Time, but it has a VCA and an envelope generator in it. So I'm just multing that clock into that as well, so it triggers the notes. So next, connect the CV output to your oscillator's 1 volt per octave input. So in this case, I've got the cable right here. Plug it into the CV output. And that's going into the 1 volt per octave input on my Dust of Time. Shroud of Turing provides a calibrated output range of 0 to 4 volts, allowing for up to 4 octaves of pitch control. Okay, so we're patched up. Let's talk about the basics. At its core, the module is a shift register sequencer. Think of the shift register as a loop of binary beads, a string of 1s and 0s that rotates with every clock pulse. As these bits cycle, they're converted into varying voltages. Sounds pretty random, right? The potentiometer controls the probability of these bits flipping, changing from 0 to 1 or vice versa, which determines how the pattern behaves. So at 12 o'clock, it's random, it's where we have it right now. There's not much repeating. So it's total chaos with 100% probability of bits flipping. But if we hear something that we like, we can change that up and grab something. This is what makes it great about the original Turing Machine and the Shroud of Turing. We go to locked at 5 o'clock. It's a perfect repeating loop with 0 chance of change. So where things get interesting though is, okay, that's great. That's a loop. We can jam to it. And this is a concept with the Turing Machine as well. Once it's in locked, between locked and random, you have what's called slip. It's basically between 8 and 11 o'clock and 1 and 4 o'clock. It's the sweet spot where the pattern repeats, but occasionally evolves or mutates. So instead of just going crazy random, watch. Well, just a little bit. repeating. There you go. Did you hear it? One of the bits changed. See? Okay, we'll lock it again. So that gives you a chance. It's kind of, I like to think of it as like, it's a bass player who you're jamming with and she gets bored. So she starts throwing variants in every once in a while just to keep it interesting. It's really musical to work with. So now let's talk about the double lock. So double at 7 o'clock, the feedback bit is always inverted. So it's creating a pattern twice as long as the current setting. So if you have an 8-step pattern, the sequence becomes 16 steps. If you have a 16-step pattern, it's 32 and so on. But if I pull it over to that, it inverted. Hear it? There's the original. And there it's inverted. Make sense? Great. Let's go back to random, grab something, we'll lock it in. So speaking of steps, you can adjust the sequence length, the number of beads in the active loop, by holding the shift button and pressing the corresponding note buttons. So you get it down here, I've got a shift button, you've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 12, and 16. Let's just turn it into a 3-step. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, right? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You get it. So you can pick how long the sequence is simply by hitting shift and picking any of these. I'm going to go to 8 for now. We'll random. Okay. So you can also adjust the octave spread. And basically it's the voltage spread. These are on most of the other modules, it's an octave up and octave down button, and it increases the spread by an octave voltage-wise. So the voltage range is easily adjusted using these buttons. Just all you have to do is tap the octave up button. Right now it's got a 1 octave spread. Tap it once, see how it's pulling notes in from that second octave now? Same voltages, just giving you more range. And you can go to 3 and 4. And then tap octave down. To bring it back down again. That decreases the range, 4, 3, 2, 1 octaves. A smaller range can be used to create focused bass lines or whatever, while a 4-octave range allows for dramatic melodic jumps. It's all what you're into. Okay, so now let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get into quantization and scale management. So unlike a standard Turing machine, the Shroud of Turing features musical quantization in an additive fashion. You can add notes, and all you have to do is simply press the note buttons to add them to your scale, and the output will automatically snap to the nearest note you've selected. As you press other notes, they'll be added to the existing scale, allowing you to build it over time. So great, let's grab a C. Boom. Everything snapped. We've got a C now. So let's say our song's starting out. We're just going to let it drone in with C. We're going to pull in some other sequences, do whatever we're going to do. And it's locked in that. But we can add additional notes. See what's happening there? So you can build that over time. If you want to clear the scale, it's really simple. It's just long hold the octave up, plus see how it's marked clear? There you go, we're back to unquantized. It's classic behavior. It should be noted that the Shroud of Turing boots to an unquantized state by default. So every time you boot it up, it starts out like a normal, like a Turing machine would be. All right, so let's go back to notes though, because random voltages are great for a number of different things, but it's a little more musical. So the cool thing about building these up, I've just created a scale, and everything's quantizing to that scale, and I like it. So the Shroud of Turing, you can save those scales to any one of these 6 slots, right? They're persistent in the EEPROM storage, so if you reboot, they're still saved. So to save, let's just, this series of notes, I like this. All you have to do is long hold the octave down and press the slot button D through B, right? I'm gonna go 16. So that's red means recording. I've now recorded that scale to user 6. Let's clear it. And so let's do another one. Let's just do a D and a D sharp. And I'm going to record that to user 5. Okay. Now to load, all you have to do is long hold the octave up button and press any one of those slots. So let's go back to the C scale. Right? And then D. See where we're going with this? Now you've got some performance options. You can do this on the fly, you can save, you can load while you're in the middle of a performance, or I mean, you could queue everything up before a performance and use one of these slots for, hey, this is chorus, one of them is a verse, do whatever you want. All right, so now we've got that. We've got save, load. There are also additional advanced functions that come with the Shroud of Turing, obviously using this shift button. So the module includes several shift functions for precise pattern sculpting. So one of the most basic ones is actually reset. You want to sync it to a drum beat, something you find a cool loop, you want to bring it back to that. Literally, it restarts the lock sequence from the first note. It only works in locked or double modes, so you can't really reset random, right? To help the sync pattern to the downbeat. So let's shift, reset. Got it? The next advanced function is adding or subtracting bits. To subtract a bit, you just hold shift and hit D sharp. You can see right here it says bit minus. While held, this right function forces bits to 0 on each clock pulse, removing high notes or creating rests, so to speak. So if I hold shift, you can hear I'm just in a little three note loop here. See how it just zeroed everything out? Now, granted, that's a C, because I'm sitting at 0 volts. That's just the way that works. But you can also add. And to add a bit, it's shift plus F sharp. You can see a little bit plus. And this forces the bits to 1. But you can do it one at a time to add accents or build patterns from scratch. So, right? I just added those 2 back in. Okay. The other thing you can do is sometimes you find a really cool loop. Let's do this. Let's put 8 notes in there, give it random, let's find something interesting. All right, now when we hit reset, it's starting on the high notes, which is kind of weird. I don't want that. So you can bump or rotate the entire sequence to get the note that you want all the way around that loop back to the beginning to start there. And so you've got this bump, kind of a backwards and a forwards bump. All right. So it nudges the entire backward using G sharp or forward using A sharp, one step, which is perfect for shifting the timing of a sequence without changing its melodic content. So let's see if we can get this back. And then we hit reset. There we go. It's no longer starting on the high note anymore, it's starting on the low note. So we rotated the whole thing back to the way we want. It allows you to position it in a way that you want. So that covers kind of the advanced features. There's one more thing that I want to talk about. So as you can see, the Shroud of Turing has many different applications when it comes to generative sequencing. A lot of features, a lot of functions, and it's a lot of fun to play with. But it still has one trick up its sleeve. So this is something that I actually added to the 7th Summoner module recently as well. But all of this started with these modules with this simple module called the Sleight of Hand. All this is a simple CV keyboard, right? It's got a gate out, CV out, portamento, glide, and across 4 octaves of adjustment. Well, I've built that in. It's a simple part of the firmware. I've built it into the Shroud of Turing, and you can boot into that mode when you just want to be hands-on. It's actually quite simple to do. All you have to do, turn your machine off, and you're going to patch from your clock out. In this case, I'm going to use, let's do braids. And so I'm going to take my gate into my trigger in of my oscillator, and the CV out goes to the 1 volt per octave in on your oscillator. So remember, it's no longer a gate in, it's a gate out. And then when you go to boot, you just hold down the shift button until you hear a note trigger, and then you're booted into that mode. So we'll go ahead and boot up. There you go. It is now running the sleight of hand firmware. And so if you look at the keyboard, you have a full octave and a high C. Just makes it fun. And then you have octave up and down, portamento, and it's simple to play. And then, of course, slew, portamento. And so you have that mode readily available to you. And to switch back to the normal Shroud of Turing mode, you simply reboot. You'll want to remember to patch up the way you had it originally. And this, anytime that you boot without holding down that shift button, you will be in the Shroud of Turing mode. Go. And now we're back. And that's it. Have some fun with it.